Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
Oh, man. 7:37 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson. A lot going on here in Washington, D.C. Supreme Court rules on Arizona yesterday, the immigration. We're going to get Obamacare on Thursday. Corey Stewart joins us now, Prince William County Chairman, and someone who has a lot of, I guess, experience working with the federal government and working on the illegal immigrant fronts and trying to curtail that in Prince William County. He joins us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
All right. So I know that you've had both support from this administration and from the Bush administration when it comes to illegal immigration. You've also had problems with both the Bush administration and the Obama administration. Before we get into that, I just want to get your overall thoughts on the ruling from the Supreme Court yesterday. Do you think they got it right, and what does it mean for Prince William County moving forward?
Well, they did get it right. It was not a surprise, and it's interesting the spin by the opponents of efforts to correct on illegal immigration, trying to portray this as some sort of victory for them. This is the best thing that could have happened to the sheriff out there and to Arizona as a whole, and it's good for Prince William County because it upheld the key portions of the Arizona law, those portions that were modeled after the Prince William law, which allows us to enforce federal immigration law to check immigration status upon either detention or the arrest of an individual who has broken the law. So this is all good news for us and for Arizona.
Well, now, that would be the case if you could then, of course, do what you've done there in Prince William County, which is check into the 287G database, right?
Right. Well, there's two different parts to this. 287G is a separate program. It's very important, and now there are threats, of course, that the Obama White House is going to sulk, and they're going to try to get back at us all by phasing out 287G.
Well, in fact, that's what they did in Arizona yesterday. 3 hours after the ruling, they revoked the 287G status of the state of Arizona. So if they were to do that in Prince William County, how would you feel about things?
Well, obviously, it would not be a good thing. You know, we've been able to remove 4,700 illegal aliens who have committed crimes in our county. For the Obama administration to allow these dangerous criminal illegal aliens to go back on the street in Arizona or elsewhere is just absolutely pathetic and is not looking out for the best interests of the public safety of U.S. citizens. It's absolutely disgusting.
But you see it as a victory. It seemed the way I looked at it was, yes, indeed, on that one provision, they did say, we'll uphold this law, but the legal reasoning seemed to be because you hadn't really had a chance to apply it yet, and it would be inappropriate of us to have a ruling about its constitutionality until you actually had a chance to implement the law. I mean, it would seem that if that comes back, they would be likely to rule as they did on the other matters the Supreme Court's considered yesterday.
Well, actually, that's not surprising at all. We had the same ruling from Judge Kacharis back in 2007, the federal district court judge in Alexandria, who held the same thing. By the way, he's a Reagan appointee who said the same thing in 2007 with regard to Prince William's law, which is this, that the law is legal on its face, but as applied, you have to make sure that you're not racially profiling, that you're not discriminating against anyone. We haven't in Prince William County, and that's why the law has stood its ground for 5 years, and that's why Arizona can do the same thing going forward.
All right, if they phase out the 287G program, and that's just speculation at this point, but as Brian pointed out yesterday, they basically pulled it in Arizona, I guess, as, being vindictive for Arizona daring to want to tackle illegal immigration in its states. But what impact would it have? Because you've had a lot of success, as you said, in 287G, and most local towns and jurisdictions have had great success in the 287G program, and you work very well with ICE, do you not?
We do. And the men and women who work at ICE, they're doing their jobs. They're good men and women who are doing their jobs very, very well. It's the pathetic political leadership. And I don't mean just with the Obama administration, but I mean with frankly, with Congress in many cases, and with both parties. They will not do anything at the federal level, at the higher levels of leadership, to address the situation. We would have to stop handing over to the federal government for deportation those illegal aliens who have committed crimes, like Carlos Montano in 2010, who killed a nun. Instead of being deported after he serves his sentence, he would then be released. And that's absolutely pathetic to anyone who knows what he did and what other criminal illegal aliens who are in our community are doing.
All right. Now, right now, the way it stands in Prince William County, if a police officer pulls somebody over and suspects that they may be in the country illegal, they can ask for identification, right?
Absolutely.
All right. They ask for identification. They find out that they're being illegal, and they can hold them, right?
Yes.
And then they tell ICE. They inform ICE about it. And what does ICE do?
Well, if the person is arrested and he's brought to jail and we determine that he's an illegal alien, he will serve his sentence for the underlying crime, and then he'll be handed over to ICE. ICE will then, continue the process for deportation. But what we don't know, Brian, and why we're suing the federal government right now, is what percentage of those individuals are being actually deported.
They never tell you who was deported?
They will not tell us who is deported and who is released.
And the reasoning for that is what?
You're going to love this. The privacy of the illegal alien.
So you're telling me that you hand them over to ICE, and ICE makes a determination, and sometimes they deport, and sometimes they just say, go about your merry way, and they never inform you as to which is the case and whether or not those people have been released back into your community?
Well, it's even worse. They won't even, not only will they not inform us, the government, or the people, they will not inform our police department. So our police officers who might apprehend an individual, hand them over to ICE for deportation, and a few days later find that person back on the street. In fact, that has happened so much that 10%, and you know that's just the tip of the iceberg, 10% of those individuals who we have handed over to for deportation have been reapprehended in Prince William County.
So there's a good chance that a large number of the people that you've handed over to ICE for deportation have actually just been released.
It is almost a virtual certainty that is occurring, and the Obama administration is doing it, but they don't want to admit it, and they're trying to hide that fact, which is why we have to sue them to get the information.
Did this happen during the Bush administration as well, or is this solely, a part of the Obama administration's policy?
Well, it did happen under the previous administration as well. However, the Obama administration is much more recalcitrant and much more difficult to work with.
All right. Corey Stewart, good to have you on the program. Thanks very much.